for the final weekend of the GT4 European Series powered by RAFA Racing Club. We're somewhere new. We're at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit in Saudi Arabia, and for the three categories that we have within the championship, for the AM, Pro-Am and Silver, two of those three are up for grabs. AM was decided last time out at Monza, but Silver and Pro-Am will be decided in the desert. And now for qualifying, the sun has virtually set, the floodlights are on, and the whole circuit starts to develop a very different feel. There's something about nighttime racing, doesn't matter whether it's at here, Le Mans, even a short oval event. There's just something magical about racing under the lights. And the floodlights here give the circuit a whole different feel. It's also going to be a challenge for the drivers. Yes, they had some practice in the daylight and in the darkness yesterday, but reference points they thought they knew about in the daytime, well, they're pretty much all gone now, and they'll be seeing far more of the external, not just floodlights, but lights from the hotels, the restaurants, the big sky rises around the circuit. David Addison trackside, the cars are ready to go out for Q1, which will determine the grid for today's race, or tonight's race, effectively starting as it does at 5 minutes past 10. And it's going to be within the 20 minutes, the first 10 for the Silvers and the second 10 for the AMs and the Pro-Ams, just to try and give them a little bit of clear real estate and the ability to go for a time without too much traffic in the way. And then it'll be the same for the second part of qualifying, where you'll get the second driver in all but two cars, because there are two solo entries, one of which is the Porsche of Romain Wozniak, and the other is the Audi of Julien Rippert that had a spin in the earlier session that we had today, which was the pre-qualifying session. That's Josh Ratican's car, number 78, the McLaren, and he comes here as the silver leader. Now, looking forward to today's race, if that car, if that McLaren is able to be ahead of the number 3 Audi of Robert Consigny and Benjamin Lariche, then it takes the championship. But it's not quite as straightforward as that, because the Audi has got to be, in order to nudge it to the second race, be ahead and outscore by 7 points. But then that might be slightly different depending on where the point for pole position goes in this first 10 minutes, and then in the 10 minutes for the Silvers for race 2. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that pans out. So we'll have a better idea of what happens to what needs to happen in the championship after qualifying. The fast lane is open, so the session has not yet started, but the fast lane opens. That means everybody now hunts their way down to pit exit, trying to get a good position within the queue. Ideally, you want to be the first out, so you've got a clear road ahead of you. And very shortly, the drivers will have that green light at the end of the pit road, and we will be in business then to get the session underway. Looking down, you can see McLarens from one of the British teams, Elite Motorsports, and another British team, which is the Academy Motorsport squad with the Ford Mustang behind, and that's going to be driven in the first part of the qualifying by Will Moore, number 62. So there's the line of cars all ready to go, and as soon as possible we should be in business. About a minute before we go green at the end of the pit lane. Remember, these are just the Silvers, so it's the better supported, better populated of the classes, and they will venture out onto the circuit any moment. That's the car that needs a point for pole, needs 2 points really for pole for each of the two races, but also needs to be ahead come the end of the race tonight of number 78 McLaren, because that car needs a race win, and it needs that McLaren to be well behind it as well to outscore by the 7 points. So Robert Consigny and Benjamin Lariche are the drivers. Going to be Benjamin Lariche, the former Formula 2 racer, who will be behind the wheel for Q1. They can see 82, a little bit further down the pit road. Jamie Day, another of the quick Brits. Many of the British drivers that you have in GT4 European Series have come from Ginetta Junior Racing, with a spell either in or still are racing in GT4 in the British GT Championship. Elite Motorsport operating those two yellow and black McLarens. Team with lots of Ginetta success, and more recently GB3, GB4 single-seater success. Eddie Ives' very, very busy team. Bekke Beschler, Gabriele Piana's BMW is going to be driven in Q1 by Bekke Beschler. And the lights go green at the end of the pit lane. So we are in business then as the cars flood out onto the circuit. BMW, Aston Martin, more Aston Martin. Porsche 2, represented by number 40, which is the car in the hands for Q1 of Simon Birch. That's the Razzoon Northern Racing team, Simon Birch, that we've seen in the GT2 European Series of late. But now coming into GT4. And right now, the cars working their way out of turn 11 with the Robert Concerné, but now Benjamin Lariche driven Audi hustling on. People trying to get themselves some clear track space. Now you can do that either by carving through the traffic, as Benjamin Lariche is doing, or by lagging back a little bit, trying to let the traffic go. But in only 10 minutes really for the Silvers, you haven't got that many laps to get in, so track positioning here is crucial, and that's why everybody was on their toes when the lights, or when the signal rather, was given to be in the fast lane, trying to jump the traffic queue. So at the end of this lap, they'll go on to their first flying lap, so kind of ignore this one, and it's probably not the first flyer, it's the second flying lap that's the one that really counts. Cars hustling their way down towards the mid part of the lap. 6 kilometres in length is the circuit, and you've got about 2.3 kilometres from the start line up towards the hairpin at turn 13, and then therefore, if you do the maths, the bulk of the lap, the other side of the hairpin, this side, where you've got the red C next to the circuit. So Beke Bejla goes by, also number 11 BMW, Jagish Gedik, goes through. So Benjamin Lariche in number 3, you've got Josh Miller in 5, and number 9 Toyota of Etienne Shelley. That's also going to be a quick car. Luc Ivaniev was good in the earlier practice session, so he will be a man to watch, I would offer you, in number 15. Ricardo van der Ende at the wheel of number 17 BMW. He will be quick. So also will Vinny Beltramelli be in 24 Porsche. 36 is Vincent Beltoise in one of the deceptively quick Alpines. You've got in 39 David Kuhlmann in the Aston Martin. Simon Birch we touched on. The Mustangs, Eric Evans and Will Moore. The McLarens are Alex Denning, 77, Josh Rattigan, 78 and 82, as is Jamie Day. Those are the drivers that we've got on track then at the moment. And 77 of Alex Denning, the current one to watch, way up the curb there, really attacking the circuit as you've got to do. Fastest in the earlier session was Benjamin Lariche. In the pre-qualifying session, he did a 2 minutes 10.9. Of course, the GT4 cars, not as quick as the GT3 machinery that we had on track a little while ago. They are quick, make no mistake about it, but not as quick. People sort of initially dubbed this the entry-level GT category. That does it a disservice because there's still serious bits of kit. The instruction was given, you may have seen on the graphics from race control, put your lights on, and so everybody has to obey. It's incredibly well illuminated, as you can see, and it's only when you look outside the circuit, really, the precinct, as it were, that you see how dark it is now around the kingdom, because what you could see a glorious view of the Red Sea earlier on, now just darkness next to the circuit. Right, Alex Denning doing the target time then in the first sector, and in the middle. So Alex Denning then 2 purples and a little bit wide at 22 there. The sister car is behind him, a little bit wide, but he's not hugely wasting time out of all of that. But Josh Rattigan is sort of echoing the Denning lap, but in reverse, if you can do that. In other words, instead of doing an absolute and a personal, he's done a personal and an absolute. So you might get Denning quickest, but Rattigan might go even quicker. Benjamin Lariche, of course, has done 2 personals. It's his first flying lap, but it's really absolutes, purple bests, that he needs to be doing here. So up towards the timing line they come. And Alex Denning will be the first one to break the beam as he comes across the timing line. Now then, he will set the target and goes to the top. But what about Josh Rattigan behind him as he comes through? Josh Rattigan is second, and the margin between them actually is 0.396 of a second. And then Benjamin Lariche will come through, and he will do the absolute best in the 3rd sector, and he goes 3rd in the time. So it's McLaren, and then there, the Audi. That's the order at the moment. Behind is Eric Evans. Then you've got Will Moore in the Mustangs, also going quite nicely. So Benjamin Lariche suddenly finds himself now with 5 minutes gone. And the other aspect to all of this is you absolutely cannot afford to throw away a lap with a track limit violation. That's what's just happened for Etienne Shelley with the number 9 Toyota Supra. Benjamin-Lariche up through turn 11, which is really just the extension of turn 10, and you put it up on the curb and then aim it at turn 12. But if you go too wide up those curbs and all four wheels over the white line, then you'll lose the lap. And it's turn 11 that has actually been, certainly for GT3 cars over the course of the day, the main pinch point for losing a lap for the track limit offences. Gorgeous sunset now, and giving you an idea of what this place is like, the Corniche Circuit under the floodlights. Big heavy brake then for Robert Consonny as he comes now up through turn 16. Back on the loud pedal, hustles on. One of the beauties of GT4 racing, the great variety of brands that we have on the grid. And you've got the Audi ahead of the Ford Mustang, but Alex Denning's McLaren, very much an aero car. He's currently doing two absolute best as there Benjamin-Lariche runs it up the curb. This is Alex Denning, then number 77, heading to the end of the lap. Goes now down towards turn 27. Big break at the end of this fast section of the circuit. Stands on the anchors, turns the car in. Strange, really, because it's not a hairpin as such, but it's a pretty tight corner nonetheless. Comes through the left, up now towards the timing line. That's the safety car line, first of all. And then the timing line beckons there. And as he breaks the beam, Alex Denning should go yet faster. 2 minutes 9. Yes, he does go faster. Ratican does a 2 minutes 10 to go ahead. What's happened to Denning's lap? He has had it taken off him for a track limit violation at turn 18, I think that says. And Benjamin-Lariche stays third. So it is now Josh Ratican in 78, the fastest, and that's good news because that's a point for pole, and that helps over number 3 Audi. Vinny Beltramelli in the meantime in one of those gorgeous-looking Cayman GT4 Club Sport RSs, or RS Club Sports, comes down towards turn 27. This car is currently 11th. We've got 16 of them in the silvers. Comes up towards the timing line. Does Vinny Beltramelli. As I say, Etienne Shelley lost a lap earlier on with the Supra for track limit violation, so he's the one that's not yet got a lap to his name. Through goes Beltramelli, and was that an improvement? The answer is yes, it was. It puts him up to 6th fastest. That car will be taken over later on in Q2 by Florian Bruchet. And as I say, we had Josh Ratican's time going top because the better lap, or the good lap by Alex Denning, was taken off him for exceeding track limits last time around. That's Luc Ibanieff. Now, that's another race winner and a quick driver. So, as the fast lane is open for Q1B, in other words, for the AMs and the Pro-Ams, we're almost at the end, thus, of the silvers. So it's now or never, really. Ibanieff over the line and goes 3rd fastest in the NM Racing Team Mercedes. Luc Ibanieff goes 3rd fastest. That means that we have got now the leading 5 covered by less than a second. And Ibanieff has got one more lap in which he can have a stab at this. Meanwhile, down towards turn 27 comes 78 of Josh Ratican. Threads his way out of the left-hander up towards the line. So Josh Ratican looking good thus far. Fastest he is. He was 600ths up last time. And Josh Ratican does on that lap a 2 minutes 10.6. So slightly slower. What about Benjamin-Lariche in the background? He's still 3rd fastest, and he lost out in the last sector. So the Audi not yet matching the McLaren pace. Ricardo van der Ende, meanwhile, is also pushing hard. He's been a champion in GT4 in the past in Holland. He's been a race winner in this championship in the past as well. And was victorious this year at Misano in a dramatic second race. Still remarkable that Consonny and Lariche are thinking of being able to fight for a championship after a season of damage and penalties and punctures, of dramas all through the season, and yet after a double win at Monza, here they are. What about this BMW as a joker in the pack, in a sense? Up towards the line now goes Ricardo van der Ende, and that lap was better, but didn't improve his grid position from 11th. Simon Birch, meanwhile, in another of the Caymans, looking strong, learning car, learning circuit, learning about a new co-driver as well to adapt to make that relationship work. And Simon Birch out of a KTM from GT2 this year, now coming into GT4 in Milwaukee Tools Cayman. Checkered flag is out for Q1A, so the first part of GT4 qualifying is done. And that means now that straight away the lights go green at the end of the pit lane for Q1B, there's going to be an overlap, quite literally of a lap, as out go the incoming cars, and an in-lap is completed by the Silvers. So the track will get busy, and then it'll all calm down again. Now, of course, those that have finished their session need to make sure they're keeping out of the way of those that are starting their session. But as the field turns through, you can see more and more of the AMs and the Pro-Am cars pouring out on track. And there, the Mustangs, the BMWs from Silver will bail for the pit lane. So, Lariche coming up to take the checkered flag. He's down to 4th, and although the lap is a decent one, he can't, seemingly from that, overhaul the Ibanez Mercedes. So, frustration for Benjamin Lariche. All of this determining the grid for this evening's race that's due to get underway at 5 minutes past 10 at the local time. So now we've got, if you like, part of the grid decided. It's going to be interesting to see, though, now where the Pro-Ams, because if you've got the Pro in the car, it'll be quick, where they get relative to the top 16, which are currently all in Silvers. Etienne Shelley, in the meantime, has got to take the checkered flag, and this is an important lap for the team that won the opening race at Paul Ricard and never went as well again. Up towards the line comes Etienne Shelley. And as the Supra breaks the beam, is there an improvement? Yeah, 1 place. I'm afraid it's not quite the wow that they needed. So up to 14th goes the Toyota. Enzo Juliet and Etienne Shelley working together well as a partnership, but it's just been a weird season, like I say, that win in the opening round, and then it's all sort of unravelled around them ever since. Right, so that's the first part of the first session done. Now we can turn our attention to the Pro-Am and the Am battle, where the cars are on an outlap and will start to put together their order next time around. There's number 9, Supra done, as number 30, Finn Zulauf, goes across the line. That's the Pro-Am Championship leader. Finn Zulauf up the curb, riding on board with the Porsche. Also within this part of the session, Roman Wozniak, Stanislav Savronov, who is chasing 4 Pro-Am honours. Number 13, Toyota Vasily Mladikin. 16 is Charles Dawson, we're being told, although it was expected to be Andy Cantu, but Charles Dawson now shown as being the driver of 16. Got 2 bronze-graded drivers in that car. For Saudi Racing, it's going to be Rima Jafari in one car and Fahad Al-Ghasaibi in the other. Jean-Paul Dominici in his Alpine. Of the Malonis, it is son, Davide Maloney. Julien Brichet, Pascal Houteau, the AM champion, are on track. So also is Gustavo Xavier of the all-girl Toyota crew. It is Gabriela Yelkova. Race control telling NM Racing Team to change Charles Dawson's driver ID to Andy Cantu, so is Andy Cantu nominated, and that's what needs to be illustrated on the timing screen, and all of that is controlled by the driver ID. So if the driver puts it in the wrong place, then he has to put it in the right place and confirm who's behind the wheel. Finn Zulauf, though, here looking really strong in number 30 Porsche, as you would anticipate, because they had wins, he and Max Kronberg, at Paul Ricard, at Spa, at Hockenheim and at Monza. Only Misano was where they didn't get 1 win out of the 2 races of a weekend. And you're riding on board the Cayman as Finn Zulauf accelerates his way now up towards the completion of the lap. So past the pits he will come. Finn Zulauf goes by, and assuming this lap stands, it's an improvement and it puts him 14th. So straight away, Zulauf goes ahead of Vincent Beltoise and Etienne Shelley and Josh Miller out of the silver session. So that illustrates, if you like, the speed of a pro in a Pro-Am car. Straight away on the money. Alban Baruti, in the meantime, in number 110. The car's livery sort of echoing the old FAT Turbo Express colour scheme that adorned Porsche 962s and indeed 963s this year. Comes up towards the line. Alban Baruti goes through, and where's that going to put him? The answer in number 110 is 19th overall, so he doesn't attack the silvers as such, but he is on the coattails of the Pro-Am class leaders. He shares that car, does Alban Baruti. Number 110 Porsche with Julien Piguet. Alban Baruti last year was the dominant AM, just blitzed them. Whether he drove on his own or with a co-driver, he was absolutely mighty, so he stepped up a category this year. So 110 Porsche skims the curb. 46 behind, that is the Jean-Laurent Navarro Julien Brichet car, and it's Brichet for Q1. So the clock ticks on down, and 3 minutes and 46 seconds of this first aspect of the qualifying session remain. So the fast S that we've got now is in fact 75, he says hesitantly, which is Paul Petit, and the reason for that is that Finn Zulauf's lap time has been taken off him. So we saw the lap, it was a decent one in terms of time, but not in terms of track limit. So Finn Zulauf has had the lap taken from him. Also, I think Andy Cantu and Gustavo Xavier have lost laps as well. So the order continues to shuffle as you look at Davide Meloni in the BMW coming out of turn 22, where lots of drivers ride the curve on the outside. You've got a really fast section, and then all of a sudden it's quite a slow, tight corner that comes across you. You've got to stand on the brakes. There are two big brake zones. One is 16, and that's the other one at turn 22. And it is quite tempting to run wide, but if you go completely off the road, then of course you incur the wrath of race control. Davide Meloni, they're looking strong on this lap with two personal bests. Over the timing line goes the BMW. Davide Meloni 22nd, so on that lap it was a better lap time. Pascal Hutto, the AM champion, has gone up now to 19th and pole within AM. There he is, in fact, in number 55 in the black and gold Schumacher CLRT livery. And Alban Baruti has just gone 6th overall, and Julien Brichet has gone 7th overall. Those two Caymans, 6th and 7th. Finn Zulauf is 16th, but you've got two very, very quick pro drivers out of Pro-Am getting themselves up now 6th and 7th overall. You're looking at another quick AM, Pascal Hutto, sharing with Laurent Hergon. And the Alpine, with that nod to its heritage, the Alpines of old, threading its way between the concrete, up the curb at turn 10. And if you ride the curb there, effectively that is turn 11, and you just point it at 12 and blast on. So Pascal Hutto down now towards the hairpin, comes through that bank left. There's a little bit of a tilt. It's not sort of Indianapolis style or Zandvoort style banking, but it's enough of a tilt to give you the impression of the banking, and accelerates then now on this longer second aspect of the lap back down towards turn 27. A couple of kilometres and a bit done in one direction, and then there's a lot crammed in to the remainder of the lap coming down the other side. So Q1 almost at an end. Now we are into the last minute. Pascal Hutto looking as though it's going to be pole position for the 8th time this year to the Alpine, number 55. And Josh Rantigan, we know is good for pole. That is going to be a 4th for number 78 McLaren. And what about Pro-Am? That's number 110 Alban Baruti. That would be, for that car, I think I'm right in saying, the first pole of the year, in fact, if they can hang on to it. So Alban Baruti has done a really good job, number 110 Porsche, and a maiden pole of the season could be theirs. 6th he still is. Zulauf is 2nd now in Pro-Am. He's just got 11th overall, number 30. The drivers that are done, watch on. The drivers that are doing Q2, get ready. Checkered flag is out. Q1 is at an end. So 78, Josh Ratican will start on pole position, gets a point for that. And now we'll see whether Tom Leben can do the same for race 2. There he is in the car, ready to go, because it won't be long as soon as the drivers are in from Q1B, but we get Q2A ready to go. Number 7 there, which is the Aston Martin of Stanislav Safronov, 3rd in Pro-Am. Needs to be ahead of Finn Zulauf to take that championship battle much further. So drama through the GT4 season. There's going to be more of it this evening. These cars always give good racing, and great expectation for what they're going to be like under the lights. Well, you can see what they're like, but how the racing is going to be, and from what grid, we just about know now. But one driver that didn't get a lap time in because of it constantly being taken from him with track limit offences, Roman Wozniak's AV Racing Porsche. So the flag goes out, and then we'll get the field ready for Q2. So Stanislav Safronov, in the end, 2nd in Pro-Am, got ahead of Finn Zulauf right at the very end of the session. So that's a pretty impressive effort, that, to go quicker than Zulauf. Well done, Safronov. Good effort indeed in number 7 Aston Martin. So the cars trickle their way back to the pit lane. What was slightly disappointing is Josh Miller's Q1A effort. That is only 31st at the 35. That was as a silver. You would have anticipated better from that. The drivers now for Q1B, so we go back to the silver cars. Silver in terms of driver grading, not colour. The silver cars, but a different driver on board. So they are getting ready now to go back out. So that means that now you've got Robert Consani, for example, in number 3 Audi. So you've seen the cars once, but different drivers, and speed cars mechanic there with the board, the lollipop ready to release when the fast lane opens. His driver down the pit road. Another 10 minutes beckons for Q1B. Sorry, Q2A we're up to now, aren't we? For these second set of drivers, the last cars from Q1B down the pit road, including their Julien Rippert, and also one of the Aston Martins trickles back as well. Pit lane klaxon sounds busily in the background. And now under the illuminated pit lane, there you can see the track map on the side of race control. You see what I mean about it being a narrow strip of land. There's not really much real estate between, for want of a better description, the front straight and the back straight, the back section of the circuit. Drivers then, looking at the display in the cars, that's the Ford Mustang. And in 61, for the second session, it is going to be the Canadian driver Marco Signoretti. And the Licky Molly liveried Mustang being held, and will blast away very shortly. So Josh Ratican fastest in Q1, and let's hear from our poleman. Antonio Rankin is down there with Josh Ratican.
Josh, really setting the precedent for the weekend here. P1, congratulations.
Thank you. It's definitely been a hard weekend so far. So we had a few mechanical issues yesterday, completely no one's fault, it happens. So we lost our night practice. So going into qualifying, we knew it was going to be a little bit tricky, obviously with no night practice. But again, we pushed through it and we've done well.
What kind of mechanical issues were they? Will they impact your race?
No, absolutely not. I stay away from that. If it's a mechanical issue, I'll let the team crack on. They did an amazing job. They stayed through the night. They cracked on. Obviously, I couldn't thank them enough. And obviously McLaren as well for helping too. So they pushed through the night. They did it, and well, it worked.
Great job. Let's watch Tom now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the Tom in question is Tom Leben, who is going to be behind the wheel of 78. This next session, just to explain again, will determine the grid for tomorrow's race, but the provisional classification at the end of Q1, Josh Ratican, the fastest from teammate Alex Denning, 65 thousandths of a second between them. Luc Ibanez, third from Benjamin Lariche, and then Jamie Day, fifth, sixth Alban Varuti, that's the fastest Pro-Am. Seventh Simon Birch ahead of Eric Evans, Vinny Beltramelli, and Will Moore's Mustang ahead of Stanislav Safronov. Finn Zulauf, second and third, those two in Pro-Am. 13th Beke Besler from Ricardo van der Ende and David Kuhlmann. Paul Petit 16th from Vasily Vladikin, Yagish Gedik, Andy Cantu, and that's the fastest then in bronze in the end, or in AM if you prefer. Vincent Beltoire's 20th. Where did that in the end put the Alpine? Pascal Houteau was 27th overall, behind Anthony Debarn as well out of AM, and Kevin Jimenez out of AM. So the Alpine that looked good early on faded, and I suspect, although the message line has now been clear, that may well have been to do with track limits. Right, the fast lane is open for Q2A. That means the Silver Cup cars are going to be at the end of the pit road, ready to go, and very shortly then we will be in business. So under the lanterns, the cars make their way to the end of the pit lane. They are held at the light, and then when the lights go green, they will make their way up the remainder of the pit lane and join coming out of turn 2. That pit straight lies empty and quiet for the moment. It's going to be a very, very busy pit straight later on, with the teams congregating for the start of the race, and of course with that all-important run to the first corner. The light goes green at the end of the pit lane, and that means that we are in business for Q2A. Just like GT3, another great thing about GT4 is the different shapes of the car, the different size of the car, the different sounds of the cars as well. And down the pit road go Alpines, Toyotas, Porsches. That's just 3 of the different brands that we have within GT4 here this weekend. A category that has gone from strength to strength over the last few years. And once more, it's the McLarens that have bolted out first, but another British team, the Academy Motorsports squad, have sent one of the 2 Mustangs tucked up behind, and splitting indeed the yellow Perils, the yellow McLarens. So again, some drivers trying to make sure that they have clear road ahead by being at the front of the queue, others trying to find clear road by lagging back, letting the traffic ahead go as best they can. And a bit of weaving to get some warmth into the Pirelli tyres, get the pressures up to operating levels as well. And it means, therefore, that Matt Nicol-Jones has put himself to the head of the queue. There is Marco Signoretti. Wonderful noise that Mustang makes, and the fact that you've got 2 of them, plus a GT3 Mustang operated by a different team, just great news. They sound superb. And it's a team that's had success in the British Championship of late, came close to winning races in the European Series at Hockenheim back in the summer. So through goes Matt Nicol-Jones, and you can see now, having got himself to the head of the queue, as it were, clear road ahead, he is now pushing to try to make sure that there is no chance of catching any traffic, and the road is his. And although he's pushing on for an outlap, that is to make sure that everything is ready for a proper push lap shortly when he goes for it, when he pulls the pin coming out of the last corner, turn 27. And that is to where he's approaching now. Little jink left and right, just to put a little bit of temperature back into the tyres. Stands on the brakes, which is another way of getting the warmth from the brakes through into the tyres, and they're ready to go. So here he comes out of turn 27. Up through the gears, the Mustang growls its way up towards the safety car line, then towards the timing line, which it crosses now, and onto a flying lap. Then goes Matt Nicol-Jones. In the background, we've got Robert Consonni's Audi dropping away from the 2 McLarens, weaving around to get the warmth into the tyres, and that makes one feel that they're not yet ready for a flying lap, whereas Matt Nicol-Jones definitely is. So let's follow him here. Comes out of turn 3, makes that run along the shortest straight towards turn 4. There aren't that many straights, that's one of them. Goes through that sharpish left at 4. The road loops right at 5. Then he'll snake left at 6. It's a long 6, takes you into 7, and then the road opens up again to go right through turns 8 and 9. That's turn 10. The curb is really 11. The next little left is 12, and then there's the run now. And it's a longish run up towards the hairpin. And then you turn the car in. He's done an absolute best, of course, because he's the first person to get there in sector 1. Car has good bite, seemingly, coming off the corner out of turn 13, and now the longer part of the lap beckons then. So you go right through 14 and 15, a little bit of a kink coming towards 16, which is the heavy brake zone for his next right-hander. Through turn 17, and the road keeps on sort of turning through turn 18. There's a softish softish right at 19. Left-hand kink at 20, right-hand kink at 21. And then all of a sudden, turn 22 is upon you, and you have to stand on the anchors and go sharp left. And the back wags, and Matt Nicol-Jones gets up the curb, but he's looking good. He has been bested within the first sector by Mathieu Villagomez in 82 Aston, but Matt Nicol-Jones is going to set the target time. We've not yet, I don't think, this year had a Mustang on pole position, so MNJ doing his absolute level best here. Carter, Clio racer, but it was in Ginette as he won championships aplenty, and comes now up towards the timing line. Mathieu Villagomez, I think, has lost this lap anyway for track limit offences. Matt Nicol-Jones comes up towards the line, so let's see where this is going to be by way of a target. Breaks the beam, and Matt Nicol-Jones's lap is a 2 minutes 11.213. So that's the target. Matt Nicol-Jones 2:11.213. Is it going to be about traction this lap? Is it going to be about grunt? I think it's going to be about grunt, isn't it? And the Mustang has that aplenty. Robert Consonny goes second. Tom Leben goes third. Marco Signoretti now goes third. Mustang 1-3. The Ford's doing nicely here. Ruben Del Sart's Aston goes second. Gabriele Piana's BMW up to fourth. So as the cars pour over the line, the order shuffles repeatedly. Villagomez goes by, but he lost the lap. Another one that lost his lap time was Florian Brichet. So it's Nicol-Jones from Del Sart and Consonny. Up to fourth fastest now goes Ivan Ekelchik in the best placed Porsche Cayman from Gabriele Piana's BMW. And all of that pushes Marco Signoretti down to sixth, the Canadian in the Mustang, the second of the Mustang, 61. The Toyota is seventh of Enzo Juliet, and Antoine Leclerc's Alpine is now eighth. That was a car that had a win at Hockenheim back in the summer. Antoine Leclerc sharing here with Vincent Beltoise. The win was with Nelson Pancetici. So Florian Brichet, Mathieu Villagomez are the ones that had the lap taken off them for the track limit offences. And we've only really got about 4 minutes to go. So the drivers, yeah, they do get a second chance, but you just really ought not to be wasting anything by track limit abuses. Get a banker lap in, go push the envelope on the next lap. At least you've got one in. But easier said than done, maybe, when the pressure is on. Tom Emson, then, now number 77, is the one really charging, because he's done an absolute best sector 1, but an absolute best sector 2 from Robert Consonny. And Matt Nicol-Jones down in the second sector of this lap, the middle sector if you prefer. There's Consonny in the Audi. Stands on the brakes, comes up now towards turn 27, and another lap taken away from Florian Brichet, number 24 Porsche. So he's not going to do anything at this rate, seemingly, because the flag ain't that far off. Over the line goes Consonny as of now, and that puts the Audi that was third up to pole position, 2 minutes 10.155. Robert Consonny looked mighty around here last night, comes from a rallying background, and whether that sensation of the walls feeling as though they're right next to you and it's a narrow road, he's not phased because of having similar feel on rally stages, discussed. But one thing's for sure, he's good. Tom Emson, he's even better because he's now quicker by 0.06 of a second. So Emson is quickest, point for pole, but it's for the wrong McLaren in a sense, ahead of number 3, Robert Consonny. At least it takes it away from the Audi, I guess, for Elite, by putting Emson onto pole position. Mathieu Villagomez, 82, he's up to 4th fastest now, so he lost his first lap in the car that he shares with Jamie Day, but now he's up to 4th quickest ahead of Benjamin Lassena. And Gabriele Piana only 6th in the white BMW. Now that was a car that suffered damage at the end of pre-qualifying after an incident for Beke Bechler, so they've had to repair the car, and now it's looking strong. Fast lanes open now for the cars for Q2B, in other words, the second session for the AM and Pro-Am cars, and we're getting a cancellation of the current lap time for number 9 Toyota. That is now who at the wheel? Remind me, Enzo Juliet, isn't it? It is. So the Toyota 12th quickest losing its lap. 15 Mercedes, which is Alex Papadopoulos, 14th at the minute in the car that Lucia Bagnaia was, what, 3rd in? So Papadopoulos needing to push. The McLarens do a switch as Tom Leben has done an absolute best in the first sector, and Tom Emson gets out of his way. So you've got Emson the quickest, you've got Leben quickest in sector 1, and Consonny quickest of anybody in sector 2 now. So there are the two Elite Motorsport McLarens. 77 has had an awful lot of bad luck this year. It would be really nice if the Tom Emson, Alex Denning car could take a race win. The other victories having gone the way for the team of Josh Rattigan and Tom Leben. They won both the races at Spa, but have been there, scoring, race by race by race. Robert Constantin goes on to pole position now, 2 minutes 9.787. So as the temperatures start to drop and the cars get a little bit quicker, it's the Audi back onto the top of the times, but Robert Constantin just blitzing everybody in this session right now, 3/10 quicker than Tom Emson, who in the end didn't improve. And so now we have the drivers for Q2B awaiting the signal, because we're about 20 seconds away from the checkered flag for Q2A. Benjamin Lessen, number 17 BMW, up to third fastest with an absolute best sector 1. Lessen winner at Misano. So Tom Leben down to fourth here from Gabriele Piana, Mattia Villagomez, Matt Nicol-Jones 7th after his good start, Pedro Ibrahim 8th, Ruben Del Sart, Ivan Eklicik up to 10th. Papadopoulos is the slowest. Checkered flag is out, and it's going to be Papadopoulos, the first man to take the flag. Here he is, down to turn 27. Mercedes rumbling its way up towards the line. And he will go through now to take the checkered flag. Is there an improvement? Well, there is in the time, but not in the place. He stays 16th. Big disappointment that, I'm afraid to say, because we know he's quick, Alex Papadopoulos, but that session really didn't ignite for him. Tom Emson has done it again in sector 1 by being quicker than anybody in number 77 McLaren. And Tom Emson, there he is, goes by. He's got the team speed car Audi of pole position driver Robert Constantin just up the road. Squeal of tyres, he caught the car in exactly the wrong place, skips off the racetrack. And Tom Emson had done an absolute best and then a personal best, but I wonder whether that lap's going to stand, because he was off the road. Yes, he came across the Audi at the wrong place, but that may well go against the McLaren. I'm looking at the message line to see whether or not it's going to be taken from him or not. At the moment, it's okay, but it might not be. We'll find out. Tom Emson down to turn 27. Comes through. Comes up towards the line. So here comes Tom Emson, goes through now, and the lap is a 2 minutes 10.056. It's quicker, but it doesn't beat the Audi. So Tom Emson improved. Now, did the Audi get in the way? Let's have a look. This is Robert Constantin, comes down towards turn 22 and wasn't overly cooperative, you could argue there. So flag out, but we'll see whether that gets looked at between Audi and McLaren. So Robert Constantin takes provisional pole position. Everybody will now make their way round to the pits. The last improver from the Silvers was number 17, Benjamin Lessen. He was up to third. And so now we've got, of course, all the other cars out on track as well, ready for the second aspect of Q2 for the AMs and the Pro-Ams. There is a delighted Robert Constantin, and in the background, Benjamin Lariche says well done. But the Burger King back duo getting their teeth into their session with a pole position for tomorrow's race. But whether or not they're still in the championship hunt rather depends on what we have tonight. So that's just the hors d'oeuvres, really. So a happy Constantin. But now attention will turn to what's going to go on for the remainder of the grid. You can see in the background the GT3 teams busily working away. They have got their pre-qualifying session to come in about an hour and a half. And Robert Constantin, bravo, it's hot work out there. That was only a 10-minute qualifying session, but yes, he won, bravo. Now, back on track, let's look at the Pro-Ams and the AMs, including the two Saudi Racing Aston Martins for this session, Bandar Al-Asai and Ahmed bin Kanen. And this is the bin Kanen car, 26. These two Astons being run by Contiu, that's got enough on its plate in a sense, with not only GT3 involvement this weekend, but trying to win the GT3 Championship, Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe, powered by AWS Endurance Cup, and then adds a GT4 program that's new to it and for Saudi racing. So lots of pressure, big media attention for two Saudi crews. One of the drivers, of course, Rima Jafali, being Saudi Arabia's first female racing driver. So it's quite a story, quite a big, bright spotlight shining onto ComTU. Former winner of the 24 Hours of Spa, Rima Jafali, came out of single-seater racing in the UK. Did have her own team, Sheba Racing, for a season or so, but electing to run with ComTU this weekend. Anyway, we saw Rima in the first part of qualifying, and it's now the turn of Ahmed bin Kanan in 28 and Bandar Al-Asai in 26 to go for the times. And the clock ticks on down. We've got 5 minutes and change of Q2 remaining. That's all. Time does fly in GT4 qualifying. It's pretty intense. And as the very, very smart Saudi Racing Astons go by, we'll start now to piece together a grid. Straight away, a number of the AMs and Pro-Ams going quicker than Alex Papadopoulos' silver grey Mercedes. So that's going to find itself, I fear, quite a long way out of position on the grid for race 2. It is, at the moment, in Pro-Am, Noam Abramczyk, who is the fastest. And that's already had a pole position. That car, Abramczyk and Paul Petit share it. And second fastest currently is Bandar Al-Asai. But there's no guarantee that's how it's going to stay, given that it's a very competitive category, this. Robert Constantine looks on, but the pointy end of the grid ain't going to really change, I don't think. And even if it does, that'll still be the point for the silver pole going his way. So Robert Constantine's all smiles for now, at least. Looking down towards turn 13 and the hairpin. Big runoff area, of course, on the outside, and behind the cameraman is the man-made marina, which is another big focal point. Oh, a bit of smoke out of the back of the number 75 Noam Abramczyk Porsche there. That's the car I was just talking about being fastest in Pro-Am, but then does it have an issue? It's kind of Leighton House, Miami blue colour scheme on that car. Comes towards the back part of the track, down now towards the rather heavier braking zone at turn 16 he'll get to in a moment. Being a bit cautious there, maybe, going down lots of gears and braking early for a corner. So the smoke, if it was smoke, seems to have gone. Might just have been slightly offline and kicking up some dust, but it did look more mechanical than peripheral. Anyway, staying out, and the set times are slower, aren't they? Both sectors 1 and 2 on this lap. Down to turn 27 comes the Porsche. Then we'll see whether he bails for the pit lane in the AV racing car, AV being Amar Maruti. We saw him in Q1. Over the line goes Abramczyk, stays out then. So Noam Abramczyk goes by, and on that lap is slower by about 11 seconds. So makes you a bit fearful for that car. Max Kronberg there has now taken Pro-Am pole, and Julien Leandri has taken Am pole in number 317. Sorry, Jean-Mathieu Leandri in the BMW. He's taken over from Anthony Debarn. He's gone quickest now in Am. There going through Max Kronberg, still looking strong. He's only 6 turns up, in fact, on in Pro-Am the Saudi driver Bandar Al-Asai. So it's going to be quite a fight between them. The Porsche there with a little bit of rear end slide. That's corrected. And he accelerates now from turn 11, just about, I think, the right side of that white line. But we'll see. We await the next cancellation of current lap time message on the timing screen. Who's it going to be? Into turn 13 then, through the hairpin comes Max Kronberg. This car, which has been able to take 4 pole positions over the course of the season. Noam Abramczyk, that was quick early on, lost his 2 minutes 11 lap. So the 2:22, the slow lap, now is his best, if you're following me. So the good one was taken from him, and that puts Abramczyk now right down to slowest, having been on class pole earlier on. So Max Kronberg on this lap, a little bit down in the middle sector, as you can see. and it's not green and it's not purple, ain't great. So fraction of time lost. The flag is imminent. We're into the last minute of the session. And Max Kronberg presses on. So it's Audi on pole in silver. In Pro-Am, it is now a Porsche. And in Am, it's an Alpine, because Laurent Hergon has gone to the top. Incident between numbers 3 and 77 in turn 22 noted. That was the Consani and Emson potential blocking, or getting in the way, if you prefer. Well, race control are aware of it. That's what the noted element means. So they're going to have a look at it potentially and see whether it was just bad timing on the part of the McLaren catching the Audi, or whether the Audi got in the way. However, from our side of things, the checkered flag is imminent. It's about 5 seconds away, as up to the timing line now comes Paolo Meloni's BMW. He will take the flag this time because the checkered flag is now out, and the BMW M4 GT4 goes through, takes the flag. Paolo Meloni in the BMW takes the checkered flag, 31st overall, and in class 10th in the Pro-Am element of the championship. So Paolo Meloni shares with his son, and they are done for now. So also is Tom Leben. Interesting that he stayed in the car. He didn't have to necessarily, but whether it's been the decision to keep him in so he can drive it back to the paddock, possibly, but you could argue it's only another 10 minutes of temperature. What the heck. Here, though, looking really good, is Bandar Al-Asai, because this is the Saudi driver who was second in class. Noam Abramczyk, by the way, has gone back to the top now in Pro-Am, so he's got a good lap to his name, as long as it stays. From Julien Piguet, Max Kronberg third, fourth Jean-Laurent Navarro, and here, fifth is Al-Asai. So is this going to be an improvement? In terms of lap time, it should be. So where's the Saudi driver going to be? It would be a great story, wouldn't it, if he could get himself up to a class pole position and accelerates now towards the timing line, crosses the safety car line, up towards the beam, and for number 26, Aston Martin, the answer is an improved lap time, yes, but stays 19th, fourth in class in the end, fourth in class. So yeah, an improvement, but not to the very top, but a good effort that by Bandar Al-Asai, up against people with more GT4 experience. So the drivers making their way down the pit road. If they don't feel they can improve, then they bail early, others finishing off a final flying lap. That incident between Consani and Emson is going to be looked at after the session now, so that's going to be picked up by race control once they've dealt with the session and can turn attention to matters that might have some bearing on the outcome of the grid. So there are the teams all ready to release the cars back to the paddock, but before they do so, let's try and hear from Robert Consani, because he has taken pole position by 0.3 of a second. Antonio Rankin is with him.
Robert, fantastique, ce circuit n'est pas facile.
C'est super, je suis super content, je suis super heureux de faire la pole position ici. Le circuit, dès que j'ai fait les premiers tours de roue, il m'a vraiment plu. C'est vraiment quelque chose de très, on va dire, typé rallye. Et vu que je viens du rallye, c'est quand même un exercice très facile pour moi.
Merci, félicitations. Robert's super happy with this result. He said he's really content with how it all went. There's definitely some challenges with this circuit, but looking forward to the race, he's very happy.
This race is going to come up later on tonight. 5 minutes past 10, the GT4 race, one of the two, will blast underway. So it'll be from the grid that we saw set in Q1. But Q2 topped by Robert Consani, who now poses for the cameras beside the car, and delighted he is. Point for pole position for that, which might be crucial in the outcome of the championship. We'll see. Benjamin Lariche and Robert Consani then share Audi number 3. Robert Consani doing the time ahead of Tom Emson and Benjamin Lassagne third. Tom Leben fourth, championship rival. Gabriele Piana fifth, ahead of Mathieu Villagomez, Pedro Ibrahim, Matt Nicol-Jones, Ruben Delsart and Ivan Ekarczyk rounding out the top 10. Best Pro-Am, Noam Abramczyk. That car was 13th from Julien Piguet and Max Kronberg. And the best of the AM, Jean-Mathieu Leandri, 21st ahead of Laurent Hergon's Alpine, 22nd, and third in the class was number 28, which was the second of the Saudi Racing Aston Martins, the car of Ahmed bin Kanan. So the next activity on the track here is going to be at 8:15 local time, when we have an hour of GT3 pre-qualifying, and then GT4 action will be at 10 for an hour, of course, with the mandatory pit stops and all the drama that goes with the GT4 European Series powered by RAFA Racing Club. For now, though, the teams with not too much work, I don't think, to have to sort out, can get themselves ready for the drama to come. And we will look forward to the GT4 race action a little bit later on, with an interesting grid certainly for the first race, and our first look at GT racing around the Jeddah Corniche Circuit. Practice one thing, qualifying another, but racing, whether you've got everybody going for the same bit of real estate at times, promises to be quite a spectacle, and that is to come a little bit later on in the evening then. 10:05. The GT4 race will be underway, giving us an idea, I guess, of what it's going to be like when we see the GT3 race in the dark tomorrow, but it's such a well-illuminated circuit. So, quick look at the highlights of qualifying then, with the McLarens of Elite Motorsport hunting for points for pole. And if they couldn't take pole, then they really needed somebody else to take the point away from the number 3 Audi. Worked in race 1, didn't work in race 2 though, so it's still going to be a really interesting battle as far as that title race is concerned. Luc Ibanez was quick in Q1, going third, but it was Robert Consonnet that was the fastest in Q2, getting number 3 Audi to the top of the times, although there was that little late session drama when a really rapid Tom Emerson came across him and found the Audi in exactly the wrong place. He had to go evasive, and although the lap was good, it wasn't good enough to dislodge the Audi. Right, 10:05, GT4 European Series Race 1 will blast into life. Join us for that a little bit later here at the Jeddah Corniche Circuit.